Thanks for listening to Leadership Level Up. I'm Brian Prairie.
And I'm Dr. Jeff Williamson.
I am just starting my leadership journey.
And I've been guiding leaders for 30 years.
Our podcast aims to shine a spotlight on outstanding leaders and provide a platform for them to describe their leadership journey and share the guiding principles that have helped them become great leaders.
Welcome to Leadership Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Williamson, along with my co-host, Brian Prairie. Today, we're joined by our friend, Bill Yohnka, who is a longtime Kankakee resident, Kankakee fan, I would even say that. And he has had a number of roles just over the last 10, 20 years. And I've been in the community about 12 years. So we'll talk with Bill about that, but good to have you here with us. Always a good time when we can sit down and talk.
Isn't it? I really enjoy this. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when we do these, there's always this sense that, wait, our time's up? That was so fun. How could we possibly be done? You know, but as I mentioned, you've had a number of roles here in the community, including your radio work that continues. So I want you to have to talk about that. But then you've had different roles: school district, the community, city of Kankakee, and now executive director for the Currents of Kankakee, which is an exciting riverfront development project we'll talk about a little bit later. But good to have you. Those things that you've done in the community. I know nobody loves Kankakee more than Bill.
Oh, sure. I think there are. There are people who love it more.
It's close.
Yeah. I just have had it be my job in different ways to express that. So I started loving Kankakee before it was my job, but then it kind of became my job. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta keep going with this thing.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, we love talking about leadership. We're on this endless journey that we don't think we know it all just because we have a podcast on leadership.
Isn't that the truth?
I think the wise among us are like, well, I know a couple of things, or I sometimes say I know a lot about a little bit. But we're learning.
Yes.
Brian and I talk a lot about that we're learning. It's this journey. And part of it for both of us really is talking to people about their leadership journeys, their experiences, people who were leaders that they watched as role models or mentors in their coming up years. So I'd love to hear more about who were some of those people and what were some traits that you looked at and thought, that's what leadership ought to look like.
Yeah. I guess locally, as I moved back here, and one of the jobs I had before I worked for the city, I was the marketing director for Martin Whalen Office Solutions. And it was somebody I knew from the community, but Marty, who's still a friend of mine today, was a guy who I connected with because we played basketball together. And I started playing basketball at the basement of the Knights of Columbus. Brian's played down there before. And Marty was this guy he's a few years younger than I am right now when I met him. And he was 45 years old. And I was kind of the young guy in this group. And Marty was like one of the senior gentlemen.
That was gracefully said. Nicely done.
And so we got in this little struggle for the ball one day. And I thought, okay, I'm going to grab this ball, but I'm not going to get brutal about it. I'm just going to grab it. Well, I realized quickly, oh, this guy is on a different level.
He's all in.
He's competitive in a way I didn't see coming. And he snatched that ball away from me. And I was like, okay, I'm remembering this. I'm bringing it when I go up against him next time. And we've developed a friendship over the time playing basketball. And he was a neighbor of mine, and eventually offered me a job to work for him and work in an office right next to him. And as somebody who built a business, those things I feel like he was so wonderful with sales and things like that, but also about building a team of people that were all bought in and all, it just had a way about finding the right place for people. There was this whole thing about where are they sitting on the bus? We got to get this person on we want them on the bus. Like, we know this person, we know their value. That's not where they should be on the bus. So let's redirect here, and making sure that we do that, and then always follow up and always make sure that looks right. So that was my first interaction with someone in the business world who It's like, I really felt like he cared about, of course, the success of the business and it going in the right direction. But then, well, he cared about each one of us. And then I eventually, told him I was moving on, excited for me. And he's always like, yeah, we have people that go back to school that do other things. And yeah, if I helped him along that way, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first business.
What a great introduction.
Locally.
Yeah.
And still today, like, we talk every once in a while. I have questions about things I'm doing now. It's like, okay, what would you do here? How would you handle this? What would your first step be? And it's good with it.
That's cool. It's cool that mentorship and friendship has lasted throughout the years.
Yeah. Well, I can go a year without talking to him, but like then I'll spend an hour on the phone with him,
Right. That's really cool.
We were talking earlier this morning about that experience where we connect with different people and it just remains. And we're actually talking about one of our future guests and how the time can pass and there's just that connect because of what the kinds of things you describe. It was just like that person cared about me and we connected on a personal level along with the work that we were trying to do together.
Yeah. And then, and I think those are the kind of situations where you can disagree and still be good. We could not let things that set you back really set you back. Right. When you have that kind of relationship, and even if you weren't friends outside, if you just have that, okay, we're going to get through this and we got to go to the next thing. We're not going to dwell.
Right. Well, and that's so just across relationships is understanding each other. We don't have to agree on but we have to at least understand each other where we're at.
Yeah.
And I think that to have that, taught to you at a very, quick, as you were kind of coming up, that's pretty great. And I feel like, I have known you for a very long time. We went to high school together.
Yeah.
So
you guys do go back.
We do. Yeah. And like, but that's Billy Yohnka. Like, it seems like, I think you had that in you, but I bet you Marty saw that and just was able to like draw it even more,
Yeah. So. Yeah. It was a pretty cool experience.
That's neat.
Well, and I feel like it's interesting how so many good things in my life have come out of playing basketball with people or
relationships
just
are
having
everything.
those kind of relationships and
just
you have that kind of bond with people and then you kind of look out for each other and you know each other and it's just one thing leads to another.
Yeah. You never know where that point of contact might be, whether it's a coffee shop nearby or playing basketball in the mornings or whatever. It's like I've said again and again, relationships are everything. And they open so many doors to opportunities. And if nothing else, just new people, new friendships, right? Yeah. And you never know how they might impact you in the future.
Another like leader that changed the way I think about things locally. I knew who he was for a long time before I knew him, was Theodis Pace.
Oh yeah.
And so when I got to know Theodis, it was, I thought I knew who he was. And I realized the genius of him is that he can sit down and talk to anybody. He can make a phone call to anybody.
Yes, he can.
And people answer the phone, people talk to him, and he gets, he told me how he gets some business for that. As people see him like, what are you doing out for lunch with so-and-so? Who are you? Why were you with so-and-so? That person, I've had an issue with that person. Why are you with them? You're their friend? Like, yeah, I'm their friend.
Let's build a bridge together.
Yeah, let's
Isn't
make this work. Yeah. And that's how he's like, that's how I get things done. I don't get things done, calling people names.
Throwing stones never wins anything.
It's like, let's go sit down and talk about this. Maybe we're gonna have a meal. We'll sit down maybe for a couple hours, but we're gonna understand each other, and you're gonna see my point of view at the end.
Or hear each other at the least.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I just think that, and even the way kind of the candid conversations about, I get a lot of business for, I've people question what I'm doing, but I'm working at it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And
I've
if we
gotta
feel like
make this
the ears are open and the
Yeah.
heart is open, it's even bigger thing. It was a guy that I used to work with years ago, and he had a phrase that sounds like something Theodis might say. And when he was having a tough conversation or something that was going to be maybe not totally pleasant, he would say, "I hope you hear my heart." Then we'd have the difficult conversation or broach that difficult topic. And I think Theodis is really good at that, you know.
But, and if he has to be stern, he can turn that on too. So like there's different levels, you know, there's different Theodises you might deal with, but you don't need to, you know, don't have to turn it on all the time. It's like your basketball or football or whatever coaches that can be fiery when they need to be. But the ones that are fiery all the time for no reason, kind of like, okay, are you even saying words? There's no difference.
Right.
It's, you know, I am not a big fan of the music that is just all screaming because I like a song that gets energetic at points, but has your lulls that make it more poignant when you have to get that way.
And I think we've maybe all had those coaches along the way, whether it was sports or classroom teacher, whatever, that they might be really intense. But then those times where they had the wisdom to say, "Hey, you know what? I really think you're going somewhere, but you're not reaching your potential today. But what can we do about that?" Well, when you get that compared to, it catches it, because I think we all remember things like that from our growing up years when somebody kind of basically said, "I see you and you're better than that."
When I think what I've learned from, I think, good leaders around me, knowing the different people you're interacting with, what they need, we want the result. How do we get that result out of somebody? You got to kind of yell like that, like a football coach. And other ones, it is the putting the arm around. Right. And sometimes it's a combination and knowing the situation.
Yeah. Good read of people. We talk like about emotional intelligence. I think that comes into play in those kind of scenarios to go, he or she doesn't need me to be stern and angry and frustrated today. They need this because of what's going on in their life or their work. And so they have the intelligence to sense that and play it a little differently. Cool. So Theodis as well as Marty
Whalen, Theodis. Yeah. I feel like those two guys, for me, you know, have been, were really important. I developed a relationship years ago with Norm Strasma, who was somebody who,
gentle, quiet spirit. Yeah.
Yes. But got things done.
Still is.
And still is getting things done. And I first worked with him on the Riverfront Trail, bike trail. And it really is what inspired me to do this job I'm in now. But what I thought was great was that, you know, he's on his mission and he's not going to be slowed down with that. And he's going to call another meeting. And he's going to make sure you understand what's happening, and you know, just wants to update you. Yeah. And then you know, sometimes like,
here's what needs to happen.
I don't need it. Sometimes it's like, I don't know if I need all the updates right now. No, he's doing it now. This
is happening.
This is happening. But he's the one who's going to keep convening people. And I would say that stretch of the trail that connects to KCC and beyond, that's beautiful and wonderful, wouldn't have happened if he wasn't the guy who said, no, we're going to get the president of KCC at the table. We're going to get Aqua at the table. We're going to get the park district at the table. We're going to get the city at the table. We're going to expand the other direction and make sure that we're ready to reach the state park. And still, we talked to him the other day, still thinking about, okay, how do we make sure over by the Bourbonnais Sportsman's Club, where we want to make it work better? 90 years old, still thinking about,
I want to grow up to be like that.
How is that going to work better? So, sometimes I feel like I sometimes fall into, what's going on with you? Take on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes in leadership, I think, okay, no, I gotta remember what I'm doing. I gotta like keep pushing my agenda, even while I'm bringing other people along and really genuinely caring about what they're doing.
And that's the key, is bringing people along and showing them the opportunities and the possibilities like with the riverfront, to say, we can do a lot more if this is a we thing with lots of us. And I mean, that's a key of leadership as well.
I mean, I think part of my story is I was one of those people that were sitting on the couch and kind of complaining about Kankakee and not doing anything. Yeah. And then I went to Merchant Street Music Festival and saw, Allison Beasley, Peggy Mayer, Bill Yohnka, and I'm like, this is a legit music festival. And so then I think I talked to you before that, but like once I okay, this is community, and it was just amazing to see our diverse community come together and enjoy, the very, simple music. We just enjoyed the sounds of summer. And so I thank you for bringing me in, and showing, rather than, just because I didn't think, sometimes we're ready to hear that. I was just witnessing it. I was like, okay, I want to be a part of this. This is really cool. So,
and it brings together so many volunteers from the community as well. That's part of the beauty of it is that everybody's needed. There's something everybody can do.
Really?
And that's part of the magic.
I'm glad you brought that up, because as far as leadership of organizations and events, I really like, Peggy and Allison, like they're really phenomenal with that. And just the idea that it's not really about any one person. You've really got to give the people who are doing all these different jobs, they're leaders of their areas. If you try to be the leader of all of it and micromanage all these things, it's just not going to work. Yeah. So you've got to give people their autonomy to do their thing and trust that they're going to do it, and kind of have those expectations in place. But that's what it takes to do something that big.
Well, I say that's the beauty of Merchant Street is like everybody knows their job, and everybody trusts each other to do their job, and trust each other to ask for help. Like and it's like, I think one of the first or maybe second years I was like, Bill was like, let's make screens to put on top of the depot. So,
I heard stories about that.
Like, oh, this is a weird, this is crazy.
This is crazy. But okay, let's do it. And then me and another volunteer, Mike Watson, Barbie's husband, and got to work and made some screens. And I think my mom even got involved. We made it out of shower curtains. She actually sewed shower curtains together. So it takes a village.
You do things together, and you're like, we pulled that off. And that's the essence, I think, of really effective, powerful leadership. Is it's not a me thing, for starters. And with events and other larger aspects of organizations, that's part of the reality is that I love is that I can't do that all myself.
No.
Because I do love the teamwork and the unity and the distribution of all that to say, over here, this big piece of that's you, that's your team. You guys figure it out. I'm here for you, but that's your baby. And then when that all comes together in this robust weekend or week event, it's totally a blast.
Well, and I think I was one of kind of the three organizers before with my role with the Kankakee Development Corporation in the city. When I switched roles to work for the school district, like, man, wait a second. I still got to do something here, right? So I switched to be one of the managers man, I still love it just as much. And I feel like one of my roles, and I always, and maybe this is a little pet peeve of mine, I hate it when people start to feel like, because this is my favorite weekend of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Like no matter how much I work, it's exciting, it's fun. Look what we're doing. And so I feel like I don't always pull it off. Sometimes I get caught in, whatever's happening, but try to in advance of that and during that weekend, spread that. No, this is really cool. Thank you so much for being here. This is fun. What can we do to make it more?
Share the joy, man.
Fun for you. And just kind of have that wonder of this is pretty cool. Yeah.
And again, that's the essence, I think, of good leadership is that there is that sense that we do things. There's joy in the camp, if I can say it that way, because it's not just me. And we've heard that even from past guests that we've interviewed where they've said, an early mistake I made was really just making it the me show and doing too much myself and thinking, boy, this was great. And everybody's going, yeah, well, it wasn't great for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
caution to all of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That's something I've learned. Sure.
Yeah. I think none of us are born with that knowledge. We have to kind of get spanked once in a while or
it comes to you.
make some mistakes and go, okay, yeah, that didn't go so well. Everybody was unhappy except me. So we got to readjust to whatever.
Yeah. But it's easy to, when we really do, for like Music Fest, have an awesome crew and like have so many people that they look forward to helping out that weekend, and everybody pulling in the same direction to make something happen. That I think Allison said it once on a video that was made, like, oh, people walk around the event and say, I can't believe this is Kankakee. Yeah. And we're like, but we're like, wait a second. No, maybe this is what you should think of as Kankakee.
Yes.
This is what, let's change that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how we do things.
Yeah. Change the narrative. The past is not the present. And that's a key message I know for that all of us care about. Yeah. Yeah. So here in our last few minutes, I have a question I always enjoy asking all of our guests. How'd you say Marty was the more senior?
He was the more senior basketball player.
I'm the more senior person in the room. So I love these reflective questions of saying, what would you now tell 20-something-year-old Bill based on some lessons you've learned about leadership and working with people?
Oh, wow. Probably say, chill out a little bit. Save some of the passion, the energy, and just going after it for when you really need it. And then, but chill out a little bit and listen a little more and be more responsive to the people you're listening to.
I like that. So more senior Bill is chill Bill, is what you're saying.
Oh, I don't know about that.
More chill Bill? Maybe we'll qualify it.
Working on it. Trying.
Yeah. Well, that's a nugget people can take with them, and that would apply for me. I won't speak for anybody else. It's like, yeah, my 20-somethings, I needed to chill out a little bit and pump the brakes and just ease back a little bit, because I thought if I wasn't pressing too hard like that I'd never get things done. It's like, actually, I will, and I won't have people not like me.
Yeah. But there's also something, hey, just going and doing it. We're just going to make it happen.
Figure it out.
We're going to sew some shower curtains together and make something happen. Yeah. So there is some power to that too. You don't want to lose that like imagination of like, no, I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we experience that some, living in startup world. It's like, well, let's figure it out. We don't have that today, but maybe there's a workaround, and we can do that in spite of whatever we see as a challenge, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As long as we're working towards something. And also, I think to your point is to ask for help, like knowing really when to ask for help. Those things can happen. Like you can say like, oh, I can just get it done myself. I've done that. I think we've all probably done that. But if you share that, not even that burden, just share that
That's an opportunity. Yeah, an experience. Yeah.
It's growth for everybody, and and then the thing is maybe even better than what you have imagined.
Yeah, and then asking for that help before it becomes
a burden,
and before it becomes something that's keeping you up at night. Before it becomes
that course correct before we have a house fire kind of thing, right? Just kind of say, hey, I got this sense that maybe we're just all a little off kilter. Could you guys talk to me? What's working? What's not working? What can we adjust?
It's the difference between stopping the microwave popcorn when you start hearing it slow down, when you hear those pops, or then when you smell it.
Yeah. When you smell it, it's too late. Yeah.
There's one you can save, one not as much.
Yeah. That's a good metaphor, because I always do that.
Bring it outside.
I'm kind of like,
just run with it outside.
I'm kind of listening and thinking, okay, it's time.
Yeah, it's time.
Well, we always say this time goes so fast. Good conversations have that ability. So great to hear more about some of the key mentors and role models you've watched over the years and how that's played into your leadership journey along the way. So thanks so much for for going back and digging up some of those great ideas and examples from people that are still in our community.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Look forward to it again.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Leadership Level Up. Please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations with great leaders.